So you've got the king and the fool on an island. And the fool has an animal of some sort in a cage. It's his animal. So we're wanting to actually tell the story through a series of images and abstractions rather than through playing it naturalistically. The show has two characters on stage, and they represent your king and your fool. So they're the two main characters on an island alone. And there's also a creature on stage, which is kind of like a baby, and it belongs to them. And we know that throughout the piece, there is a continuous interruption of a female voice crying, which the king has a lot of problems with and always runs away from, and sticks his head in the salt or in the sand. And this happens throughout the piece. But we also see that this child is loved by these two, the king and the fool, until one day the child mimics or learns somehow the sound of this woman crying.
I guess you could also say we're not just looking for a narrative storyline, we're looking also for irrational images, or just what we dream or what we hope, and put them in images, which also tells a lot about us in a way. The stage is a storyteller. The thing is that if the stage transforms by itself visually, that is already a big part of the storytelling. Without that, you have to explain things. We don't have a script, we make the script up by thinking about it, but a lot of just being on the floor and trying ideas and throwing things away again and going further and further with that. I mean, creation is always, is a big part of it, for me at least, is always being completely lost in where we are also, so you have no idea what we're doing, and then you have to have distance to it again, or sometimes you don't have ideas that belongs to it too, and you just have to wait a little bit and think, idea come to me, and then something comes.
What we're aiming for is that the piece will look at how hate is cultivated, or how it somehow brews, or how it somehow comes to the surface. Because I don't think we kind of really are looking away from this expression of hate being always on a level of anger. Because I think most people associate hate with anger. And I think hatred works sometimes on other levels and other dynamics. It can be more calculated, it can be a lot deeper than that. And I think the anger isn't always necessarily so present or visual. And I guess that's what we're looking at, see what happens behind that dynamic. What happens, what are the machinations, what are the small steps, how do people cultivate hate in each other, and how is it cultivated from outside? In 3 moments in the piece, we use text, and 2 of those moments, they are political speeches that have been read in the past. And these speeches are very telling of how I think hatred can sometimes rise to the surface. The first speech is told by a woman, and it was a speech that was read by one of the first pioneers of feminism, if you like, in the mid-1800s. And the second speech is by Douglas MacArthur. General Douglas MacArthur, which exonerates the position of the soldier, and they're almost completely opposite in terms of what they're saying. Obviously with Maltese artists as well as people from, well, Tommy's from Switzerland and I'm half Maltese, half Australian, but we wanted to set it here. But we didn't want to necessarily be naturalistic about it. We are not in Malta. You know, the play does not happen in Malta, but it represents perhaps that it could be.